Hey everyone, I have an awesome Kickstarter video for you. I'm going to be reviewing Aurora. This is a prototype copy that was sent to me, so thank you very much so that I get to review it for you guys. I will have everything linked down below, all of their Kickstarter information, everything like that. So before I start, I just want to say I am Krissy and this is my channel, 2 Sheep 1 Wheat. Have a look around if you are new here. If there's something that I missed, if there is a game that I have not covered yet that you would love to see, go ahead and like this video and comment down below what that game is. And then of course, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and you hit that bell notification so that you don't miss it when that video does go up. Video. Why can't I get that? No. I'm gonna redo that. So you're gonna go ahead and get 7 cards dealt to you, and you're also going to get 3 objective cards. So every player will get these. So you are allowed to look at your objective cards and you are allowed to look at your card in your hands. So the whole point to this game is to develop intelligence. So there are a few ways to win this game. One, of course, being developing intelligence. The second being completing 3 of these objective cards. And the third way to win is collecting 14 of all of the resources, which I'll show you on the cards now. So resources would be in this corner right here. We have carbon, we have oxygen, water, and we have DNA. So these are all the resources. Now, as soon as you collect 14 of each of these, or if you complete 3 of the objective cards, or if you develop intelligence, so the first person to do that ends the game and you are pronounced the winner. So there are many icons on these cards and I'll go through them with you. So these are the resources, like I just said, and then you have these circled or squared off in red here. Those are requirements to be able to play these cards. And then we go into the icon of what the card is. So this is a planet, this is like bacteria, this is a moon and another bacteria. There are many different ones that I'll be able to show you. And then we go into the type of card, which this one is planetary, this one is life, and planetary and life again. A few other ones that I will be able to go through once I go into how to play the game. So those are the requirements. Then you go on to these icons right here, and those are the ones that can be played on top of this card. So it'll give you a little bit, kind of like a warning here, like, hey, these are the types of cards that can be played on top of this one. Same with all of these ones too. So all the cards are all set up the exact same. There are another type of cards, and that is these cards right here. These are event cards. So the game goes in different phases. The event phase is the second phase that you're able to play. So I'll get to that in just a minute. So now how to play the game. The first phase is a develop phase. This is where each player kind of does their own thing. You're able to play all of these different cards from your hand that you're able to build up your stellar system. Each system needs to start with a stellar card here, which is the sun. It'll show you all the different planets that you can play, as well as how many you're allowed to play. There are some with an infinity symbol here, and that means that this stellar system can have any number of these planets within it. This one, unfortunately, can only have 1 of these types. Now, if you do have one of these types in your hand, then you can go ahead and place it. So now you're building within your stellar system, and you're building a planet now, because we have these double suns here and they match up. Now, these requirements are only needed 1 of them. So now if you have any of these cards in your hand that can play on top of this type of planet here, then you can go ahead and play that one too. So now if you play this one, another planetary card, its requirement was 1 of these red planets. So we're allowed to play this one on top of it. Now, all the while you're building up your stellar system, you're collecting your resources. So just keep in mind how many resources you have to make sure that when you win, you're able to tell people that. So now on top of this card, we're able to place kind of like a bacteria virus card here. So let's look at our hand and see if we have one, and we do. So you'd be able to build that up. Now this card here has a benefit here. The 4th phase, which is a draw phase, you are allowed to draw up to 6 cards. However, you can only have a maximum of 8 cards in your hand. So now this card will allow you to draw up to 7 cards instead of the 6 cards that you're normally allowed to. And this one virus is allowed to be played off of this asteroid one here. But now there are no more requirements that you can play on top of this card. So unfortunately, this system is done. So when that happens, you can build up another stellar system, but in your turn, if you are building a new one, you must play on that one only until the next turn, and then you can build up on the other ones that you have. So now obviously we have way more cards in our hand, just to show you the example here of building a new one. Now this requirement here, you can have any number of these 3 different planets here. Now it just so happens that I do have an Earth planet here in my hand. So I can go ahead and play that one. And on top of this one, I can play any one of these cards here. I do have this card right here, I'm not even going to be able to say any of these. 𝗦𝗨𝗕𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗠𝗣 is the card that I'm going to be able to play on top of this one. Now the requirement for that was the Earth, so I was able to play that one. Now this icon right here is a little organism, and you'd be able to just play it like that. This is a life card. Now we're building life to these stellar systems. And on top of organism, we are able to place a carnivore. So stellar systems look like that. This was obviously many, many turns and not just one. So eventually, as the more that you play, this will be what it looks like. So you would play however many cards that you're able to build up with those 7 cards in your hand. Now comes for the second phase, and that is the event turn. Now if you have event cards in your hand, this is when you're going to be able to play them. Some cards will allow you to switch spots with other cards in your stellar system, and other cards are cards that will allow you to mess with somebody else's stellar system. And you can tell those because the one that negates anything to anybody else will be red, and anything that's benefiting you and your stellar system will be in green here. So this one right here, 𝗕𝗔𝗢𝗕𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗠𝗣, this card may replace one stellar card in any evolution tree, which is good because sometimes they don't come around that often and you may need to use it for another stellar system. So you can go ahead and use that in the event phase. Then this one right here, it says supernova, negate the resource count of one planetary card. So that's handy because that is one of the ways that you're able to win the game is by having all of these resources count to 14. So that's when you play these, and then once they're played, then they will go to the discard pile. Then we move on to the pass phase. This is the third phase. This is where you can keep up to 3 cards in your hand, and you will pass the rest to your neighbor, and so on. Everybody else will do that. And then once you're done doing that, then that is the draw up phase, and you can draw up to 6 cards to the total amount of 8 cards in your hand. Now we did play this card here, so we would technically be allowed to draw up to 7 cards instead of 6, but you can't have more than 8 cards in your hand. So then the whole thing starts over again, and everybody gets to play onto their stellar systems and build up as much as they can with the 7 cards in their hand. Now there will maybe come a time when you're playing at a 2-player count and you are not able to play any of the cards that are in your hand, and you're simply keeping 3 and passing the cards to your partner, and so on. In the rare occasion that that does happen, you are able to keep up to 3 cards and then simply just discarding the rest into the discard pile and redrawing up to your hand. Now for objective cards. You have these 3 objective cards, and you need to be able to complete all 3 of these if that is the way that you are looking to complete the game. Now this one requires acquire 20 water. So you would need to keep track of your water. Instead of 14 to be able to win the game that way, you would need to acquire 20 of them. Now right now on the table we have about 6 of them, so a lot more to build up to be able to get to 20 water. Now this one is establish 4 stellar systems with 4 different stellar cards. So we're halfway there, so that one's not too bad either. And this last one here is evolve a virus from a moon. So completing those 3 objective cards will have you win the game. The game ends completely and you do win, as well as the 14 of each resources and developing intelligence. So any of those end the game completely and you win. So congratulations. So I love that this game has multiple different ways that you can win. So in case something's just not working out for you, or building up your stellar systems and the requirement of 14 is just too much, then at least you have 2 other different ways to be able to win this game. I'm loving the artwork on this card as well. Love that everything is black, very similar to when we look up and all we see are planets and it's just dark, and it really makes the colors of the planets and the life cards and all of the bacteria and all the cards, the color on them just makes it really pop, and I love that with a game. I also really love a card game, and one that doesn't necessarily take too long to play. So 25 minutes for this game is really good, and you can complete it, and really 25 minutes is a good time for this card game. And it's really neat how everything works together, where you're building your stellar system. You start off by the main thing, which is the sun. You have the sun, and then you start adding planets to it. You start adding the stuff around it, asteroids. You can even build volcanoes, and then start to build up bacteria and animals. And then you can start adding in like language and tools, which is how you develop intelligence. So it's all really neat how the game works, and the idea behind it too. Very smart, and it's almost educational as well, but making it fun if you're into board games. And like I said, this is a prototype game that will be coming out on Kickstarter on the 20th of October. So stay tuned for that one. That will be coming up in the next couple of days. A really neat idea, really loving this one. I had loads of fun with it, and especially it kind of makes you think, this game too, because of all the different icons. So you really have to pay attention to that and how you're building up your stellar system. All of these different icons here, and you have to make sure that they all line up so that you're actually playing the proper ones for each of them. And you want to make sure that you are playing the most that you can, because being able to develop the intelligence, like this one right here, will require you to really build up to actually even just be able to get to that point, because everything was really carefully thought over and which icons go where. So kudos to them, because I feel like anybody who's building games, I don't even know the process, but I couldn't even imagine building games. So to be able to come up with something like this, that every little detail, it has to be precise to have the game actually work. Kudos to them for making this game. Lovely little game, love it. So, and if you're interested in planets and building the stellar system, solar systems, and everything like that, definitely check out this Kickstarter. Again, all of that information is down below for you, so be sure to check it out. It will be out in a couple of days. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I will catch you next time. Video. Why can't I get that? No. I'm gonna redo that.